What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the chronically charismatic Dr. Disaster. And you would think that with the sheer popularity of the Lord of the Rings franchise, that news of a Lord of the Rings video game coming out in the next few weeks would be a very big deal.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
But sadly, the Lord of the Rings has lost a lot of its luster in recent years. Big corporate entities attempting to commoditize this brilliant bit of art is to blame. I mean, ever since Christopher Tolkien died a few years ago, J.R.R. Tolkien's vision has no longer been safeguarded. It's constantly being prostituted out to anyone who wants to use the franchise to make a quick buck. Hence, we've seen dog shit projects like The Rings of Power Amazon TV show, whose viewership has been absolutely catastrophic because they've gone out of their way to modernize the franchise. In fact, they saw a 60% drop-off in viewership from Season 1 to Season 2 because people reject the modernization of Tolkien's work.
I'm a real failure.
I know.
But that isn't the only Lord of the Rings product that has flopped massively recently. There was the Gollum video game, which was poorly put together slop that nobody purchased, and it flopped completely. There was the War of the Rohirrim movie that came out last December. You would think that with only a $30 million budget, they might have made some money on that thing, but they only made $20 million on it worldwide at the box office because we, the fans, are not interested in a modern audience girl boss story set in Middle-earth.
Well, it's time someone told you, no one likes that!
And that brings us to Tales of the Shire, the cozy Hobbit game which will play similarly to something like Animal Crossing. It's a game which features a fabulous Gandalf and a diverse, multicultural Shire, and practically nobody is talking about it. This was once a mighty franchise, but as you can see from its Steam numbers here, nobody is interested in this game. Their follower count is about half of what Avowed's numbers were, and that game was a massive flop. And to top it off, according to my sources, the sales numbers for this game at retail locations is abysmal. There was once a time when people were excited about the idea of new Middle-earth content. We really wished that we could see more from Middle-earth. But now that we've witnessed what these corporations will do with the franchise, people are instead thinking,
I renounce my wish!
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I've begun uploading some content onto Rumble as well, so make sure that you follow Dr. Disaster on that site too. Also, give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to my account at all times for your reference, and Tales of the Shire categorically belongs on that list. As we talked about last week, we now have proof that Tales of the Shire is a Sweet Baby Inc. game. It was consulted on by that dog water company, meaning we can expect two things from it. First of all, the game is going to suck. And second of all, it is going to flop. Last year we saw several games from Sweet Baby Inc. which flopped. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Tales of Kenzaria Zhao, Flintlock the Siege of Dawn, Capes, Unknown 9 Awakening. This year, thus far, unless there's something else that I'm forgetting, but this year we have only seen South of Midnight as a Sweet Baby Inc. release, and that game also flopped. But this is likely because Sweet Baby and their clients have gone into hiding. They realize that everything they work on gets mocked by gamers who can't stand what they do to the industry. But thanks to this detective work here, done by Master of the TDS, we see in the LinkedIn profile of a Sweet Baby employee that they did writing and sensitivity reading for Tales of the Shire. Why a cozy Hobbit game would need a sensitivity reading is freaking beyond me. Of course, in fairness, I think that all sensitivity readings are stupid as hell and a waste of funds and a waste of time. But now that we know that Sweet Baby Inc. is involved in this game, we can expect that the game will flounder. With that said, I recently reached out to my contacts in the retail world to see how well this game was selling. For anyone who doesn't know, I used to own my own store which sold video games, and I still have contacts with people in the industry. In fact, between them, the people I know have access to the sales data of nearly 50 retail locations in heavily trafficked areas, and they have been kind enough to provide me some of that info when I ask. Now, some of you may remember that when I talked about this game a few weeks ago, I said that at the time there were literally 0 copies of Tales of the Shire that had been pre-ordered. Well, that has changed, but it is still looking pretty damned grim for this game. We are just under 3 weeks removed from the planned release of Tales of the Shire, and in all of these retail stores combined, nearly 50 of them, they have sold a whopping 5 copies of the game. That is not in each store, mind you. That is 5 total. And keep in mind that for successful games like Space Marine 2 as an example, it is not uncommon for these stores to sell something in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 copies of a game in pre-orders. The really hot games can get even bigger than that. But even a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard, which flopped miserably, that sold almost 90 pre-orders before launch. Even Avowed, which was a huge bust, it was an Xbox exclusive whose physical copy version was actually just a digital code in a game box, but even that sold 15 pre-orders at this same time period of 3 weeks before its release. Tales of the Shire simply has 0 hype, and what is incredible to me is the fact that the game still cannot be pre-ordered on Steam. On Amazon, you can only find the Nintendo Switch version of it on their website. I don't know what the publisher is waiting on, but this is pretty unusual, and it still makes me think that they are leaving the back door open so that they can potentially push back the release date for this game. They've delayed it a few times already. It seems that Weta Workshop, the developers, are not at all fond of the scrutiny and mockery that they've been getting for the game. The trailers they put out have been crushed for their shitty graphics and for the modern audience slop. So, we will see what happens with it. If they actually end up releasing the game on July 29th or not, we'll see. But either way, it looks to be set to flop pretty hard. People don't care for Sweet Baby Inc., and we are sick of the commoditization of the Lord of the Rings franchise. It is no coincidence that before Christopher Tolkien died, and he was well known as a devoted son who was very careful about preserving the reputation of his father's work, but before he died, we got games like Shadows of Mordor, or the video game adaptations of the movies back during the PS2 and GameCube era. But as soon as he died a few years back, we started seeing shit like Gollum and now Tales of the Shire. With Christopher now gone, it is up to the devoted fans to protect Tolkien's precious legacy. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of Tales of the Shire into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.